So, it's a brand new day for Spider-Man, but does that mean it's a good movie? Let's go ahead and get into my review for Spider-Man Brand New Day. So first off, I really enjoyed this movie. There's a lot of things I really like about it, but there's only a few negative things, so let's go ahead and talk about those first. One of them is I kind of just personally thought that the pacing felt a little bit off with the movie. Personally, I just thought that it felt like it drowned on. It's a little bit too long. Like, I was tapped out as soon as we finished fighting the Hulk and they captured Sadie Sink. Like, I was done there. And so I just kind of felt the length. And then there was like another half hour after that. So for me, I just kind of felt the length of the film. I thought maybe we could have paced it a little better. I thought we took too long to getting to Jean Grey and revealing her name. And so I just feel like we could have paced it just a little bit better to kind of make sure this thing's going. But that's just me personally. I know a lot of people didn't have a problem with it. The other thing I kind of felt was a little bit off with this was Scorpion. To me, it just felt like we had too much Scorpion and too little Scorpion at the same time. I just think that for the role that he was used, he's almost in it too much. And we maybe could have combined the scene of him escaping and Jean Grey using him, or we could have expanded his role a little bit more. Like, I totally think Scorpion would have been on board if Jean Grey would like just hired him as like a henchman to be like, yo, I want you to take out Spider-Man and break into damage control with me. So I just felt like he was in it too little for what he was doing, and I feel like we could have either cut it down or added more with Scorpion. And this movie's already got a lot going on, so I don't know, but we could have just trimmed it down just a little bit. I just felt there was just something a little bit off with the amount of Scorpion that we got in this film. But really, those are kind of my only complaints, is the pacing. I just felt was a little slow at times, and Scorpion. But other than that, I really enjoyed the movie and the film, and there's a lot of things that I liked, so let's go ahead and get into those. So one of the things I really liked is how they dealt with Peter changing and becoming more like a spider and him getting the organic webbing. I thought that was really cool. I liked his callback to Tobey Maguire. He goes, Peter too had organic webs and he was really cool. So I like that callback. And I just kind of like the idea of organic webs because I grew up with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. But I kind of like the idea of him naturally getting the organic webs because he's evolving more into like a spider. So I thought that was really cool and how they dealt with that and him kind of not being able to control how much he's turning into a spider because he's suppressing the Peter Parker in him and just doing Spider-Man all the time. So I really like how we dealt with that and how he's changing both physically, but also he needs to change, emotionally and mentally into not repressing Peter Parker and being Spider-Man. He needs to go back to the balance. And I think that by the end of the film, we get there because he's decided to finally accept getting to know MJ and Ned again. And, because he doesn't have Aunt May anymore, right? So those are his really only connection to his past life. And so I think that's how he merges the two together. And so I really liked his evolution here in that. And we don't really talk enough about how Peter actually does have like arachnid DNA because he was bit by a spider. Like, he has that DNA within him, like they've kind of like intertwined. And we never really talk about that. It's like, oh, he just got bit by a spider and that's how he got his powers. But it's because he has the DNA actually in him. So I like that we're dealing with that too as well. And then the other thing that I really liked was the Punisher and how the Punisher was used in this. I think they did, it almost was like we didn't know we needed a Punisher and Spider-Man collaboration. But I think they really worked well because I think Punisher's dark, brooding, angry side balances really well with Peter Parker's sort of natural, wholesome, positive, charming side, but also that the Punisher also reflects the darker side that Peter's sort of evolving into by repressing his Peter Parker-ness. And Punisher, Frank even says, hey, if my people I still loved were here, do you think I would be living like this? Meaning, because MJ and Ned are still here, he does need to reach out and do that. And I think by the end of it, Punisher kind of realizes, like, Peter could be that for him. Like, he doesn't have to be dark and brooding. Like, he can have this connection with Peter, sort of a fellow colleague, but also maybe, like, looking at him kind of like a pseudo son in a way, or just a friend even, I think Frank could use. And so I think that by the end of it, that's where Frank ends up, like, I also don't have to be this way. I could also reach out because I have you now and we understand each other and I know your identity now. And so I really like how the Punisher was used. I liked him pretending to be Spider-Man at the end. That was fun. I think he felt very much like the Punisher, but with a little bit of a lighter tone, a little more quips here and there. But this is probably my favorite version of John Berthal's Punisher because I just think it worked really well in this movie. He's not in it too much, he's in it just enough. And I think it shows his character evolution as well, especially having seen that Punisher special where he ended up in that. I think this is a perfect continuation of that. So I really like how they used Punisher here. And then the other thing I really enjoyed was seeing Yelena pop up. She's like working out of the bathhouse. I thought that was a lot of fun. You know, her asking, Spider-Man to take off his mask, and she's like, so happy that he's finally getting friends and stuff. I do think that Yelena probably could find out or does know Spider-Man's true identity is Peter Parker, because if Sadie Sink could find that out, Yelena probably has no problem. She's a Black Widow. She can find out who he is, but I like that she kind of almost tests him away in a way to see if he reveals that himself. He doesn't. He keeps the mask on, which is kind of a funny scene. Spider-Man in the hot tub with his boxers and his mask on, and Yelena's probably naked under there. We don't see anything. The water's very murky, but just that whole interaction, and she only has, maybe 5 minutes or less than 10 minutes total screen time. But I just like that she's there. We know she's there, and that, he knows that she's a resource he can go out to. And I just love the Yelena character. Like, she's like the best new character post Endgame, I think. Like, I just love Florence Pugh in the role, and just reminding us that she is there and is a member of the new Avengers from the Thunderbolts. And so I just really love having her show up. She doesn't do much, but I just love the world building that we're keeping, the continuity in, because it makes sense that he would reach out to one of the Avengers, right? That makes sense. And speaking of the bath scene, Tom Holland got ripped for this role. I mean, dude's looking jacked. Like, he was always in good shape, but he was like a teenager when he first started out. Like, he's like a grown man now. Like, he's jacked. I love the new spider suit. I think it looks really nice that it's practical, and it kind of is more of a traditional Spider-Man looking costume than what we got with his previous movies. So I really do enjoy the costume, and that he's like, shows he can take the hood on and off. I don't know. Maybe that's CGI. I'm not sure. But it just feels like a practical suit, and I like that. One of the other things that I thought was really good is Spider-Man swinging through the city. This felt very much like the Tobey Maguire movies, the Andrew Garfield movies. Spider-Man's, swinging between the buildings. That just felt very Spider-Man, and a lot of it felt very much like the video game. If you play the video game, like at the one point, there's like the montage in the beginning felt very much like the video game. Him rounding up all the criminals that you fight like on the top of the buildings and stuff, and the swinging, and I just thought that was a lot of fun, and the camera shots. So definitely harkened towards the video game, which a lot of people love those video games. I only played the first one. I didn't even beat it, but it was still a lot of fun. And so this movie, I think, very much cements Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Like, he was always Peter Parker, like, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, but this very much feels like now he's Spider-Man, like the Spider-Man. And so I really like that about this movie. Like, I really feel like he's a part of New York City, like the Tobey Maguire movies were. Again, I grew up with those, so it's always my reference for Spider-Man. So this one I felt very much like, yeah, he's Spider-Man now. And I thought that was a good thing. Okay, so let's talk about Bruce Banner and the Hulk real quick. I do like having them here. I see why Bruce was incorporated to help Peter figure out this inhibitor chip thing. It's a bit kind of magic wand wavy that Peter's like, oh, Bruce Banner, one of the smartest guys in the world, did it. I can do it, totally. And we know Peter's a smart guy, but he's not like Tony Stark genius, Bruce Banner genius level. So it's a little ridiculous that he and Bruce are just talking, and he's like tracking everything Bruce is saying, and like he knows everything. I guess he did his research, but it just feels like a lot of science talk. And I just feel like the fact that Peter built all this, like, it's one thing if Bruce was like helping him build it, that's one thing. But that fact that Peter just had a conversation and then went back and built this like universal inhibitor that can inhibit like anybody's negative DNA genes or whatever they were talking about. That felt a little bit kind of like, we're stretching reality a bit. But they had to have Bruce here because, say, Sinks, Jean Grey, needs to control the Hulk. And so we get the Hulk. So we really first get, like, Smart Hulk, where she's just controlling, like, the Smart Hulk version. And then we get Bruce back for a minute. And then the real Hulk comes unleashed. And that was a really cool moment where he says, "No Banner, no girl, only Hulk." That was awesome. So we get finally Hulk unleashed, and even Peter's like, "I didn't know you could get that big, bro." Like, we finally get true Savage Hulk again, and he is awesome. The spell doesn't work on the Hulk's personality and memory, so he, I guess, still remembers Spider-Man, but did he ever meet, like, Peter Parker Spider-Man? I don't know. But, so that's how Peter gets him to calm down. Kind of like the Natasha lullaby thing of like, "Oh, hey, it's me, we're friends, like, calm down." So it's kind of like, not a great way to defeat the Hulk, but we still get a badass scene of the Hulk. Punisher comes in trying to shoot the Hulk. I'm like, "Punisher, you're out of your league. Bullets aren't going to do nothing." And then Punisher gets controlled by Jean Grey, which was kind of a cute little scene where John Bernthal is like pretending to be, say, Sink. That was fun. But anyway, so Hulk was great in this. I think he was used just the right amount. Like, we're setting up what we're going to be doing with the Hulk again. Like, okay, we know we can get back to Savage Hulk. So I hope we see that again, and I hope that that's what this is setting up. So that was a lot of fun. Then I guess we get to Sadie Sink, which she's Jean Grey. It's revealed Jean's kind of the antagonist, but not the true villain. I guess the true villain's the DODC, Department of Damage Control. I do like her power of like jumping through people. That's kind of fun. She is pretty like not good person. She like throws one guy in like front of a car. She takes over MJ to like kind of manipulate Peter and then like throws MJ off the building. So she's like not a great person. Like he even says like, "If you knew what this MJ meant to me, you're a monster." And that was really actually kind of a heartbreaking scene of him thinking he's reconnecting with MJ only to find out it's not really her. And Zendaya's acting was really great in that scene, like the switch from the MJ we think we know to Jean Grey in MJ's body. That was a good switch. And it was a really sad scene. Ultimately, I'm kind of lukewarm on this version of Jean Grey. We kind of get a little bit, like, we get her sister and we get a little bit of her past, but ultimately we just don't really know her enough as a person. I do like that Peter tries to connect with her. And I will say, the Aunt May scene it felt like we showed it too much throughout the movie and it went on too long, her monologue. But that's a part of the pacing problems I thought the movie had. But that's just me. A lot of people probably enjoyed it. But then him taking a bullet for Jean Grey and her like trying to help save him, that was nice. And then she goes on a bus, probably to see Professor X in the school. So we'll see where they go with this version of Jean Grey. She's just kind of okay as an antagonist here. I think Sasink does a good job in the performance. I'm just not really feeling what they're doing here with her. And then of course we find out the actual villain is the Department of Damage Control, and they're the ones that essentially tortured and killed Jean Grey's sister and everything. But we do get a really cool fight scene at the end where Spider-Man is fighting the Hand, and that's a really cool scene. Now, the Hand was from the Daredevil Netflix show. It was the last time I think we saw them. And here, Peter, I guess, rounded them up, took them out, and handed them over to DODC, and then they, like, recruited them. And that's kind of where like, something's shady with the DODC is when they're like, "Oh, yeah, we recruited the Hand to work with us." But it's a really cool fight with Spider-Man. Here, he uses his webs to web them all up. They're, like, flying in the air. Even he calls that out. He's like, "That's pretty cool." And this is where he finally merges the spider with Peter Parker, and he can now control his new abilities. It was actually pretty cool because the Department of Damage Control had like these sound wave cannons or something that could like disintegrate his synthetic webs. but they don't work on his organic webs. So that was pretty cool, little twist right there. And the hand is being controlled by Jean Grey at this point, but it's just a really cool fight scene. And yeah, it felt really awesome and cool to see him combine the two personalities, and now he is Spider-Man. So that was really cool. So ultimately, I just think that this was a good movie. A few problems that kind of really slowed it down for me. And then of course, we get him reuniting with Ned and Zendaya. They're not really in it that much. Ned's barely in it. Zendaya's in it a little bit more because she gets a couple scenes with the Punisher in the Punisher's lair. But yeah, Ned's not in it much, but I do love the scene of them like building Legos together and him being like so happy to see like Black Widow on the screen and meet Black Widow, Yelena, and then like the handshake at the end where he seems like he remembers Peter. A lot of people are debating like, does he actually remember his friendship with Peter Parker as it used to be, or is he connecting the name Peter with Spider-Man because MJ called Spider-Man Peter? And so, or is that combination of both, like, oh yeah, Peter is Spider-Man. I know Spider-Man. Spider-Man's Peter. Peter's my friend. Like, did he just all connect? I don't know. Did Jean Grey's like mind freeze that she put out? Did that sort of like reset the spell or the memory? We don't really know. Or maybe they just had a deeper friendship, and because Peter never reached out, it just never clicked. But now that he has reached out, it's clicking. I don't know. I do get a sense, the way Zendaya plays it, I do get a sense that maybe she doesn't, maybe she says she doesn't remember Peter, but I do get a sense that she feels a connection to Peter and Spider-Man, but that she's just kind of holding that close to the chest because she, as she said, she's a withholding person. And so she's not ready to kind of like admit what she does feel or know, but she does admit that like that spell worked and I don't have any memory of you, but the spell doesn't work on feelings, I guess. I don't know. That's not super explained, but I do get the feeling that MJ knows a bit more than she's leading on or ready to tell Peter. So I do like what we do here with Ned and MJ, and sort of setting up that Peter's going to get his friends back. So overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a bit too long for the pacing, but I just thought it had a lot of great little moments. And those moments, I think, just really made the movie for me. Like the video game feel at the beginning, the Punisher, Yelena, some of the more comedic moments, like when Spider-Man's like, I gotta stretch, I'm not in high school anymore. Just sort of those things, the change that he's going through and how that affects him, and his relationship with the cop that he's working with was really nice too. So this movie to me was just a lot of moments and a lot of things that I enjoyed. I think overall as a whole, I do think it's maybe a little too crowded. Again, I don't know if we needed Scorpion in there or if we needed more. I mean, because we already got Punisher and Jean Grey and the Hulk and cameo by Yelena, and then we're shoving in Ned and MJ. It just feels like there's a lot, and then the relationship with the cop. It just feels like there's a lot going on, plus his changing and evolving, and so that's kind of where I think it's. I don't know. I have to watch it again, but that's kind of where it's settling with me. Is like there might be too much going on, but I like each of the individual moments a lot. Yeah, those are my thoughts on Spider-Man Brand New Day. It's a good movie. I think it's definitely a thumbs up for sure. You should definitely check this one out. It definitely feels the most Spider-Man of the Tom Holland movies, and so that I really enjoy for sure. So this is probably my second favorite Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. Maybe my first. I'll have to watch it again when it comes out on Disney+. So let me know what you guys think. Did you guys love it? A lot of people loved it. It's made like, all of the money. So a lot of people love it. But I don't love it. I just really like it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are. And so yeah, those are my thoughts on Spider-Man Brand New Day. Be sure to subscribe for the channel for more Marvel reviews. Hit the thumbs up button if you like the video. And until next time, no banner, no girl, only Hulk. Bye.